Hello and welcome to Media Dialogues. But before we dive in, a quick word on what's coming up at Storyboard 18. We're preparing for the first ever Storyboard 18 Awards for Creativity, and our grand jury brings together leaders who understand how technology, media, creativity, and regulation intersect to shape the future. The jury includes Mr. Amitabh Kant, one of the country's most respected reformers, Praveen Someshwar, CEO of Diageo India, Prasoon Joshi, Chairman of Omnicom Advertising India, brand strategist and commentators Sohail Seth and Santosh Desai, Nikhil Sharma, MD of Perfetti Van Mel India, Shantanu Deshpande, co-founder of Bombay Shaving Company, Anil Viswanathan of Mondelez Europe, and Radhika Gupta, CEO of Edelweiss Mutual Fund, with more prominent industry voices set to join soon. Because creativity today doesn't exist in isolation. It lives inside systems, platforms, and policy. And that brings us perfectly to this episode. Today, we are getting into the emerging world of direct-to-mobile, or D2M. Positioned as a potential game changer, D2M promises to reimagine free-to-air content delivery on mobile phones. But can it truly work at scale? In this episode, we take a deep dive into commercial viability, revenue models, advertiser appetite, and the regulatory changes that could shape D2M's rollout. Can it unlock a new advertising and public broadcasting ecosystem, or does it remain a technology still searching for its moment? Joining us in the studio is a distinguished panel. Shashi Sinha, Strategic Advisor at Omnicom Media India and former BARC Chairman. Shashi Shekhar Vempati, former CEO of Prasar Bharati and co-founder of Deep Tech for Bharat. And Parag Naik, former EVP at Tejas Networks. Along with Storyboard 18's Imran Fazal, we decode the forces shaping the future of broadcast and mobility and media consumption.
Welcome, everyone. Shashi, let me ask you, we have spoken much about D2M broadcasting in India. How do you look at its rollout and its feasibility in this market?
See, D2M is a very uniquely Indian innovation that has emerged from the the broadcasting sector. If you recall, when many of us were children, broadcasting used to be on rooftop antennas. That technology has become obsolete, but that spectrum can potentially enable us to get broadcast signals directly to mobile phones. India being one of the largest markets for mobile phones and mobile devices, a very diverse population. I think this ability to broadcast directly to people on their devices has both strategic value, national value, as well as social value. And of course, the topic of today is what is the commercial value around it.
But tell me, the feasibility of its revenue models, does it suit the Indian market?
See, I think the commercial potential or commercial innovation of something of this nature, because it's a truly disruptive technology, right, has to emerge from the market. I don't think today everyone has figured out every possible model around it. But once we have this capability embedded into devices and we create a media ecosystem around it, I'm sure there's immense potential for innovation for different kinds of revenue models to emerge. The most obvious one would be what the public broadcaster has already been doing, which is around DD free dish. So one way to think about D2M is, can we potentially replicate the free dish model on mobile devices?
But Shashi, I would like to understand the perspective from broadcasters and the advertisers about D2M broadcasting. Is it suitable or feasible for advertisers to put in money into D2M broadcasting as well?
So as Shashi said, the start may come from free dish, the equivalent or surrogate for a free dish. But I'm extremely hopeful, and I'm known for saying things directly. So I think they'll start from there, it'll go up. Don't forget that today content is monetized on the biggest platform for monetizing content, advertising content is YouTube. It's bigger than any broadcaster. And I think this could be an alternate for that because today the revenue model, the revenue structure, without taking anything away from Google, but the revenue structure is such that there could be a possibility to disrupt that. So I think if whether the public broadcaster or whether someone else or a broadcast player gets into that, I think there are many other ways of leveraging. So I'm not too concerned. So I would say it will start, as Shashi called out, from bottom up, where there is an unserved need at this point in time. There are many people who don't have TV connections, maybe 30 million or so, maybe more. And it will start from there, but it will work its way up. So if I was YouTube, I'd be very concerned.
So you mean to say that D2M broadcasting will be a killer for a monopoly like YouTube in India?
I mean, this is being said internally, but I'm saying it directly that, you know, this it's like UPI. Where did UPI started one way, but it's gone, it's all pervasive. It can be anywhere. So I think if handled well and if nurtured well, which I'm sure it will be, it will have many, many advantages. And just now it's primarily content. YouTube is primarily fun, entertainment content. This, as Shashi called out, has many, many other applications. So there's a lot more potential than what it is today.
Right. Coming to the tech part, you have been with Sankhya Labs. I want to understand more about the technology, how it represents and how it transmits the data to a mobile or a device.
Yeah, so like Shashi, Shekhar said earlier on, the spectrum that's being used was the one that we used earlier to watch TVs during the Doordarshan days, right? We had a Yagi antenna. So the Yagi antenna is something that you have to climb up the roof and install it, and it has a certain amount of gain. So which means it takes a incoming signal and gains it up so that you can watch it on TV. Now on a phone, the equivalent antenna is about at least 200 times. The signal is much weaker. So the transmission has to be much more powerful compared to compared to the existing television architecture that has been in deployment for over 100 years. Now, if you look at the mobile tower, the mobile phones, right? Mobile phones have embedded antennas, and they have solved this problem by installing, instead of one single tower, for example, in Mumbai, you've got one tower in Worli. Instead of that, the mobile guys have actually installed, say, about 4,000 or 5,000 towers in Mumbai to be able to get, connections or get signals into deep indoor. So, or whenever you are inside the house or wherever in the coverage area. Similarly, we have the box next to me here is like a base station of a 4G or a 5G base station, or equivalent of a mini TV transmitter installed on a mobile tower. And when you have multitude of these, you can ensure that you can get coverage inside a phone, into a phone, irrespective of where it is in the coverage area. So that's that's how we do it. And typically, if you look at how the content is coming to the to this box, it's coming through a typical optical cable that usually is served also for 5G base stations and 4G base stations. It's very similar from a topology perspective. So that allows you to deliver content into the phone.
So tell me, how prepared is India today for D2M broadcasting and its rollout?
So from a technology standpoint, it's ready, right? It's ready for scale. Of course, we have to be able to manufacture these at scale. We are ready for all of that. In fact, we have been doing trials for about 5 years now, 5-6 years, right? Technology trials in Bangalore and then in Delhi. In Delhi for the last couple of years. In Delhi, we have about 8 or 10 sites on mobile tower sites on which these boxes, devices are installed. And from a tech point, everything has been thrown out. It's now up to the regulatory issues and the rest of the other business model issues that come around with it to be resolved. Once that is there, within a certain amount of time, which is what time it takes to scale for us. Suppose we have to manufacture about 1 lakh of these or 2 lakh of these boxes. So we are only limited by that time.
Right. Shashi, he mentioned about the regulatory issues. Recently, we saw that COAI has strongly opposed D2M and the results that were released by the IIT Kanpur. How do you look at this issue faced by, wherein telcos are opposing this D2M broadcasting?
Yeah. So I think the answer to that question is also related to your earlier question on how ready are we, right? What Parag has only talked about is on the network side. But today we have devices which are also ready to go. You have integrated these D2M chips into feature phones, smartphones, dongles, laptops. Intel has integrated into a laptop. So today the device ecosystem is ready. And I think that is where perhaps some of those misconceptions and concerns are coming, which is this is a disruptive technology. There are certain incumbent technology players who have long dominated the mobile space. They perhaps are feeling threatened that a disruptive innovation is emerging from India. So my appeal to the Cellular Association is, you are the Association of India, so you need to think about what is India's interest. If India has come up with an innovation, why can't we make it the global standard? Why should we always look to other countries and other parts of the world to borrow innovation and adopt? Right? Here is a truly Indian innovation. Let's take it to the world.
So do you mean to say that foreign bodies out there are trying to hamper or hinder innovation in India, especially in the broadcasting sector?
Absolutely, because I think it was very clear a few months back at the International Broadcasting Conference in Amsterdam in Europe, where it emerged that India has a head start on this. Indian chip, as Parag said, is ready to go today, while the the international chips won't be ready till 2028, right? So we have a 3-year window to establish a global standard here. Let's do it. Why should we sit back and watch? Look at what's happening in AI, for example, right? US and China have already dominated the market with chips and all the other technology that goes with it. Why not in this domain where we have a clear head start? Why can't we be the first mover?
Shashi, let me ask you, when we talk about D2M broadcasting and Prasar Bharati-led model, etc., do you think this will also cannibalize on their existing initiatives like DD Free Dish or say OTT Waves?
Not at all. But before I answer that, can I make a request? I mean, I know it, but for your lay viewer, either Shashi or Parag, call out what D2M is. I don't think people, we have covered that in the beginning, that it's basically that you are getting content on your mobile without Wi-Fi or internet connection. That's that's the heart of, it's a very big thing. I mean, sorry, but I think that that needs to be called out.
Yeah.
To your question, that's the beginning. So firstly, today, I have said there are 3 parts to this, the answer I'll give you. The first part is that it will serve an audience which is unserved just now. There are still 20-25% homes in India which are TV dark. There is no TV there, But mobile penetration, as Shashi said, is far higher than TV penetration. So those homes will get that content which is what you call free dish content. And the second part is, once this content is served, you have many opportunities and content available. Today, unfortunately, content on, so to speak, free dish is primarily entertainment / news. There could be a lot B2B, there could be a lot of other content which will come out, farmer-related content, business pushback, whatever. So there's a huge opportunity there. And finally, in the long haul, I believe, maybe right, maybe not be wrong, that it will work its way up. Because the business models of parallel streams or competition is not as strong as this could provide a business model. So I wouldn't be worried. It's not about cannibalization, it's about expanding the market.
It is a YouTube extender too, in some sense. Yeah.
Right. Can you give me a few examples or the ways broadcasters can benefit from D2M broadcasting?
So the first one, if you see that they are serving only X, what are the kind of broadcasters who are on free dish just now? They're primarily news, some content, some entertainment broadcasters, correct? You could have situations, firstly, there's a untapped market of people who don't watch television. So those are the people who come on. Advertisers look for them. They're buying products, they're buying consuming products. And mind you, before I say this, that in India, fortunately, rightly or wrongly, it is primarily an advertising-driven market. So advertisers chase eyeballs. Wherever eyeballs are there, advertisers chase them. Now, large, highly penetrated companies like Unilever or Marico or ITC will say, listen, we have no way of reaching those consumers so far. Just now, they're not reaching them. So this is a way of reaching those customers. This is the first point which I'm making to you. The second is this will provide for content of a particular kind. Today, also known as the B2B or B2B2C model is dominant in India. So the e-commerce, many guys can reach out and use this content for content. Today, for example, I'll give you an opportunity. Globally, live commerce is a very big thing. Live commerce is not picked up in India. It could be an opportunity. So with e-com picking up there, live commerce is a huge opportunity. It can explode. So in my mind, it's not only about just content for the sake of content. It could be content is engaging which leads to a sale. And third, like I said, as Parag called out, which is the holy grail at some point in time, will be a YouTube extender. That because of the commercial practices of YouTube, it could probably capsule you.
Let me add on that YouTube and the news angle what Shashi Sinha just pointed out, that a large number of channels that are currently on free dish are news channels. And today, if you look at the entire news market in India, for their digital revenues and for their digital outreach, they're completely dependent on one platform, global platform, which is YouTube. And you're at the mercy of their algorithms. You have a very skewed revenue sharing arrangement. And look at what has happened in the context of several geopolitical conflicts that we've recently seen. One fine day, a policy decision by some other power can be taken and your access can be turned off. Your audience just goes away, right? So India should have, especially the Indian news industry, needs to have a strategic fallback. And I think that is where D2M can play a very important role.
So what, according to you, is the biggest regulatory roadblock for D2M broadcasting in India?
I don't think there's a roadblock. I think there's a regulatory process which is primarily around the public broadcaster. And I think the public broadcaster needs to make its case to the government, which I think it is currently in the process of doing. based on several reports that you yourself have reported. So I think that process has to come to its logical conclusion, which I'm guessing will happen in the very soon in the near future.
Tell me one thing about how much investment are we looking at to come in India for D2M broadcasting?
So if you have to build D2M at scale across India, you're probably looking at a couple of $1 billion of investment. And I think since D2M has three aspects to it: a strategic national aspect, a social public service aspect, and a commercial aspect. I think the most viable way to achieve this would be a public-private kind of business model.
But tell me, should we look at D2M broadcasting as telecom? Should we look at it as broadcast? Or should we look at something which fits it into a regulatory perspective?
I think that's it's also a part of the legacy in India, right? The way telecom and broadcast have been regulated. But ideally, if you look at the world over, these have been converging. So I think it is one convergent way of looking at how do you reach citizens. There are certain use cases or applications where you need to interact, right? Be it WhatsApp, be it Zoom calls, be it a multi-person video conference or gaming and so on. There, the interactivity matters. You need high-speed, low-latency way of doing things, which is what the telecom networks are well suited for. And then there is content, which is one way which you're pushing to a large number of people, which broadcast is more suited for. So I think it is a question of horses for courses, like what Parag was saying earlier. So we just have to, I think, relook at our regulatory frame of mind for how you looked at these two technologies, because in the rest of the world they're converging.
Yeah, and to add to this, technology is always ahead of the policy, right? It will always be ahead. And the technology refresh cycles are so fast now that policies also have to keep up, to keep up that cycles. I mean, the classic case being AI right now. So whatever is happening in the AI world. So.
Right. Shashi, I want to understand more about the measurement process. How will advertisers measure D2M broadcasting if at all they invest their money into this innovative space?
Always maintained, and that's true for everything, not just D2M. The principles of measurement, I'm just coming from a meeting with Buck. So measurement in India is not about capability. It's not about lack of capability or understanding capability. It's about mindsets and it's about stakeholder management. So there will be some stakeholders who will never agree, there's some who will. But I think if the primary stakeholders who are involved, in fact, I'm very delighted. One of the reasons why I've been so excited by D2M, many other reasons, but one of them is that DTM measurement will ensure there's cross-media measurement elsewhere, the telcos which is not happening elsewhere, probably. So it's not about capability. It's very easy to do. It's not difficult at all.
But when consumer side facing or devices come in place,
correct,
how much increase in these devices or monetary factor would play a crucial role in the rollout?
We believe at scale, when we at scale about 50 million devices per year or so, the cost would be less than about 200 rupees. It would be about 150 rupees to 200 rupees, right? The entire broadcast front end, as we call it. If it gets even further up, some SoC vendor, some application processor vendor, the main processor that's there on your smartphones or on your feature phones, will decide to put this functionality inside. In which case, practically there's no cost. Of course, the antenna has certain cost. The cost will come down to about 50 to 60 rupees.
Artificial intelligence has played a crucial role in broadcasting and the overall sector. How do you look at AI shaping D2M broadcasting?
Yeah, so I think there are two aspects to it. AI shaping D2M and D2M becoming an enabler for AI. To me, that is a more interesting scenario or use case. Because if you look at a country like India, for it to adopt AI at scale, it has to be like UPI, like Shashi pointed out. And for that, we have to bring intelligence to the edge. And to bring intelligence to the edge, you need the ability to push out these AI models to mobile phones. And to do it in a very secure and reliable way, a technology like D2M becomes an enabler for it. Then comes, how do you use AI on the devices? And one of I think the most obvious use case for a country like India, a very diverse linguistic country like India, is the ability to, translate different languages, be able to access content without language barriers. I think that is a very exciting possibility with the coming together of D2M and AI. And Intel, along with, Tejas Network, Sankhya Labs, have done some very interesting innovations around this.
Shashi, I want to understand more about how do you measure success of D2M broadcasting going ahead in 3 to 5 years? I'll come to you both as well on this.
Very simple. I mean, it's adoption. So finally, like I said, in our business, now talking the advertising and the media business, advertisers and money, dollars chase eyeballs. It's a simple way of putting it, And if there's critical mass, if you are picking up people who are unserved, so at the cost of repeating people who have not been there before and you're reaching them, that's good enough. If there's sizable numbers who pick it up, number one. Number two is some transactions happening, whichever way. Transactions don't look at the way they're happening today. What he called micro, there may be 5 other ways of doing transactions. These are the success metrics. So revenue and eyeballs, these are the only 2 metrics.
How do you look at the growth of D2M broadcasting in coming next to 3-4 years or 5 years?
So for me, it would be like the Wi-Fi logo you on your phone. We would have a D2M logo or equivalent of that. That is success. And also, if you take a step back to what Shashi said, we are now in the, I won't care, post AI world or whatever. I mean, post LLM world, not AI world. AI is still a little far off. Each era had its own distribution platform, right? Before the 80s, you had Doordarshan or the typical terrestrial broadcasters who were the content aggregators. Then with cable and satellite, you had Tata Sky, then you had all the other satellite operators and cable operators who were a distribution platform, right? They aggregated content and pushed it to the customers. In the internet era, post .com bust, you had YouTube and probably Instagram and a few others are now the intermediaries or a distribution platform. I believe in 5 years from now, D2M would, if not replace YouTube, be a substantial alternative for or a complement to YouTube for distribution of video content along the lines of UPI, right? So it becomes part of your day-to-day distribution thing.
Right, Shashi?
Yeah, so to me, I think it is about India's moment, right? Today, US and China are dominating the technology landscape. India has a unique opportunity to make its mark. And we've seen during COVID, we've seen during recent conflicts, including Operation Sindoor.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Thank you for being with us in the studio today. Thank you.